Hey everyone, welcome to Sales 101, the B2B Sales Classroom. We're your hosts, Donald C. Kelly.
And BJ Allen.
We're really excited to have you join us. If this is your first time listening to the podcast is simple. It's designed to help professors like you, BJ, and myself to be able to learn the latest and greatest strategies of teaching professional selling. Whether you're teaching to a small class or a large class, first time or veteran sellers, we bring on professors, we bring on industry-leading experts and salespeople who were once in your classroom to give us their insights and takeaways. Today's episode is, it's a hot one. Every one of you, I promise you, are hearing conversation around this. And it's around AI with sales. Will AI replace salespeople? We're not going to give you the answer what we feel. But, you know, our guest Barry he's passionate about it, though. But BJ, talk to me what you learned about Barry so far.
Yeah, if there's someone who's qualified to talk about this, it's Barry. So Barry has some phenomenal industry experience, worked as a sales executive, as a sales manager. And then in 2017, he moved to academics. So he is the director for this professional sales program at the University of Washington, Foster School of Business, one of the top business schools. Really also on the advent of using AI within business. So it's going to be a fabulous conversation.
And the cool thing about this conversation is we're all trying to figure this out. I think it's the wild west of AI right now. And how do we see it in the professional world, but also how do we see it in academia? How do we see it in our day-to-day life? And will it replace salespeople is a legitimate conversation. And I was at Dreamforce last year, and it was a huge part of the discussion was on Agentforce, how Agentforce is going to be able to work with sales and how it can literally take away some of the roles of sellers. But I think there's a lot more to the conversation than that. So, BJ, this is going to be good.
Let's go.
All right, Barry, welcome to the show.
Hey, happy to be here.
We're excited to have this conversation. BJ and I, when we've been preparing for this podcast for the last couple of shows, one of the things that come up over and over and over and over and over again is what, BJ?
AI and selling.
So, needless to say, we're really looking forward to this conversation, have this discussion around AI. And particularly, AI, will it replace salespeople or will it not? But before we dive into that part, we bragged about you a little bit in the teaser and about all the stuff that you make you so amazing, Barry. But would love for you to take a second, Barry, and talk to us about your passion for sales. Like, why are you so passionate for teaching sales in the first place?
That's a great question. First of all, I spent 28 years in sales. Half of that out in the field. I was a road warrior. I was gone away 80% of the time. Then I decided to get married and have a family, and that didn't work well with my betrothed. So then I became a sales manager for the second half of my career. So once you're in sales, I think employers certainly recognize and you have a future in sales management, because being there and having done it are obviously different than people that think they've done it. And I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying you learn a tremendous amount on how to manage salespeople when you manage yourself and recognize what works and what doesn't work out in the sales world. So I think I kind of pigeonholed myself, whether that's good or bad. I pigeonholed myself in sales, and I couldn't get out of it, if you will. So there's that. And then why do I like it, though? The variety of the tasks that you have every day are tremendous. And every day, it sounds like a cliche. Every day is different. Well, it really is in sales, because the personalities are different. The cultures are different. The challenges are different. The priority decision-making criteria is different. And you've got to adapt yourself to the client's personality types, culture types, criteria, funding sources, hierarchy of decision-making processes. That is one thing that I really enjoy. And number two, I truly in my heart, deep down, believe that it's a relationship business. And I know that's another cliche. Many people say, well, it's a relationship business. Yeah, but do they really believe that? And I would tell you that I do believe that. And that's where I kind of have this philosophy that AI is a fantastic tool, but AI doesn't build relationships, and AI doesn't build trust. And if we build trust and relationships as salespeople, then augment that with AI, I'm not worried about AI taking my job or taking my students' jobs. But if I don't welcome it and if I don't use it, those salespeople that do will win the deals. So there's my background philosophy.
All right. We're going to go into that. So I want to go deeper into some of the stuff that you're saying. In my job here in this part, I'm going to be the devil's advocate on this part. A lot of the things you shared there, and I would argue in some degree, maybe even some of the relationship building. I don't know if you need a human for that. I think it can be replaced by AI. Why am I wrong?
You can make an appointment. You can get an appointment, and you can close a transaction with AI. I have no doubt, and I don't deny that. But when you're in business-to-business sales, and you're trying to create trust with a client over the long haul, I just don't see the client reaching out to their AI partner to bail them out in a firestorm, to build a long-term partnership that will transcend to an enterprise level. For example, salespeople need to introduce their CFOs to the customer CFO, the CEO to the customer CEO, the CMO to the customer CMO. I don't know, and I've yet to find an AI tool that can do that. So enterprise relationship building in B2B business is critical. If we're talking retail level, Amazon doesn't need to do that. I get that. Amazon doesn't need to have enterprise selling because they're selling to consumers. And I'm not degrading consumers. I'm just saying it's a different sell. So AI has, I think, a much bigger footprint in B2C selling than it does in B2B selling, if that makes sense.
So Barry, well said. Me and Donald are drinking the Kool-Aid. So we're right there with you. Now, help us learn how to teach that to students, because students, they live their whole life in AI right now, and they chat GPT everything. How do you help your students see that business to business sales is about relationships, and AI is a tool, but it's not really like the main thing that's going to take this business format forward?
That is an excellent question. You're absolutely right. And you're starting with the right thing, which is, hey, how does the next generation, sorry, you guys are younger than I would consider you the next generation, but there are even a few younger than you that are skeptical, totally skeptical. They ask the question, why do I need to learn this stuff? Because AI, ChatGPT, Claude AI, Gemini is how I'm going to sell. And so I don't want to prove them wrong. I want to welcome it. I say AI is our friend on day one of class, so that they aren't thinking that I'm that traditional professor that wants to blast AI and kick it out because it's a threat. So I say, it's not a threat to me, it's a tool. So let's use it. Now, back to your question. I'm not digressing from your question. Your question's a good one. How do I convince them that they don't need it? Well, I design assignments where I load AI with data, or I allow, obviously, AI to do its thing and go grab data to answer questions of students in a bot to student role play. The student's the seller, the ChatGPT is the bot, and they're the buyer, and the student must ask the appropriate questions of the bot to get enough data to put together a presentation. I take half my students, and that's their scenario. I then have a placebo. I have another set of students that get to use both a human interaction and a bot. And then the third set of students work with a buyer, a designated buyer, either me or a few of my guests who come to class. And the students set up appointments, and they spend 15 minutes with a buyer, and they learn all that they can from the buyer by asking questions. If the student doesn't ask the specifically proper question of the bot, they don't get the right information to put together the optimal proposal. In group 3, where it's just a human being, they get more information because the human being actually works as a partner with them and actually can tend to lend information that is not even asked, because the trust is built there and they feel a sense of partnership and collaboration with the seller. Now, the third group gets both the bot and the human being. They actually have the optimal proposals, and I can prove to them who worked with the bot, who worked with the student, and then who had both. And we rank the grades of the proposals, and the combination generally always win. So I do that once, then I let them switch. Then the scenario 2, which is a different sell scenario, they play a different role. And then I do it a third time. And in each and every case, the student that got the combination does better than when they were solo with the bot or solo with the human. And so I convinced them that if you use chat as a tool, you'll be best. I also show them that working with the human being typically is second best. And then the bot, while sometimes it can be a win, it comes in third place. So I have to be careful, though, that that's the result. And I have to be careful also not to pre-engineer the results, or the students will think I'm manipulating.
So Barry, I love the assignment. I love the approach and that concept. Now I'm thinking about this from the idea of the real world. What does that look like for if I'm a B2B seller where I'm selling manufacturing software to manufacturing companies? But how can I use AI to do some of those parts so I can do the relationship part?
It's a great question, Donald. What I found in my own career, what I found when I was managing salespeople out in the field, and what I found with students is pre-AI, we did a very poor job of preparing for our appointments. The philosophy of sales should be a consultant, be an educator, bring value to a sales call more than just your credit card. And that's kind of the joke in class, but it's true. It's more than just a credit card for lunch and drinks. Bring something to the table, because while a buyer might appreciate lunch or drinks, they'll only do that once with you. You've got to bring value and show them that you can make their life easier, make their job easier, make them look like a hero by bringing value to the table. And what I find with AI is if you do a good conscientious job before you go in, you find out about the customer, you find out about their needs, you can find out what their priorities are, what their pain points are, what makes their life really challenging. And if you can beat that to the punch by mentioning these kind of things in the meeting, and for example, saying, hey, we had another customer that had the exact same frustration, and what we did for them was XYZ. People will pay attention to that. And AI helps you do that. That's a very difficult thing to do pre-AI. So we'd go into these meetings and then start asking questions like, what are your pain points? What makes your life difficult in the business? Where is the waste? Well, those are great questions. But if I can bring those to the table to begin with, they will respond to that. So that's where AI, in my mind, can be the biggest help, is in what we call the pre-call plan. So an assignment I will give the students in class is, you're going to make a cold call on me. All you know is what the name of my company is. You go to AI then and you find out what my company does, who it competes with, what services am I trying to bring, what values do I have and competitive advantage do I have over my customers that my product, now I'm saying my twice, that the seller's product can help enhance. If you do that ahead of time, the sales call is really productive. So the assignment is this. Here's the name of the company you're calling on. That's all I tell. They have to go to AI and yield as much information as they can. Then they come and make a cold call on me. Those that use AI properly get an A on the assignment, and those that don't, and they don't ask the right questions, and they get lazy, they don't do well in the assignment. So it's the pre-call planning. That's a long answer to a short question, which is pre-call planning, in my view, is the best. You could also take away an objection from the customer, and you can run that objection through AI, and it'll help you come up with a solution. That's another great use for it.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. Great
That's
ideas
awesome.
there.
So Barry, as we wrap up here, tell us a little bit about, so you told us actually some really cool things you've done in your classroom. So you've already answered this question to some degree, but I want to know, is there anything else that you do that makes class really fun, that students are like, oh, I love Barry's class because blank?
Salespeople are generally competitive. I'm not saying others aren't competitive, but salespeople are typically, and this is just a real generalization, but I got a lot of athletes in my class, really competitive. I got students that want to run that grade higher than their fellow students. I'm not saying they're not collaborative, but with that being said, guys, I give out little prizes. It's amazing what a free t-shirt does. It's amazing what a coffee cup, a free coffee mug from Foster School of Business does. It's amazing what a couple of gift certificates to Dick's Drive-In, which is the famous drive-in in Seattle. It's the GOAT of hamburgers in Seattle. A coupon for a Dick's burger, it's amazing how hard they'll work. So they love the contests. They love getting prizes. And I think some of them really look forward to, coming to class. So we'll have, a prize Friday. Oh, they're coming to class on Friday. But if they didn't come to class throughout the week, they won't achieve so well on Prize Friday. Bring prizes to class. Don't have textbooks. Interact with the students. Allow them to interact with others. Bring in guest speakers like yourselves. If you guys came to class, they want to listen to you more than they want to listen to me. So in a quarter, when I have, let's say, 22 classes, I probably have 10 guest speakers. They may not speak the full 2 hours, but 10 guest speakers times an hour is 10 hours of interest. Where for me, another 10 hours of Erickson, oh God. So I think they like the guest speakers. They also like panels for Q&A. They like to pose questions in the real world. And I let them ask this question this way. Hey, Professor Erickson tells us blank, true or false? They like, and I welcome them to check my facts, to make sure they know I'm just not some theoretical professor pontificating, but rather, no, this is real. So that's what I find is fun, and lighten yourself up. Don't take yourself so seriously. I find a little self-deprecation goes a long way. They've had 3 or 4 years of arrogant, man. Now, I got to be careful how I say this, guys. Some professors are arrogant. Some professors pontificate, and they are a little tired of that. But to have a professor who self-deprecates and says, hey, I made this mistake when I was calling on Delta Airlines in 1995. Don't make this mistake, you guys. I think that resonates with them.
100%.
I think they like that.
It makes it real.
I think so.
Barry, we appreciate you taking your time to come on the show today. If folks listening to this episode want to get in touch with you, want to connect about some of these lesson plans or ideas or activities and just the way your philosophies, your ethos, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Happy to do it. And I'm glad you asked, because I'm a full open source. I don't have intellectual property, guys. They can get me at BARRYE2 at UW for University of Washington .edu. That's Barry E2 at UW.edu. Happy to help.
Awesome. We'll put that stuff in our show notes so folks can get a hold of you. Barry, thank you for taking the time to come on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barry.
My pleasure, guys. Really good questions. I like your questions. They were hard hitting. I like it.
Be Jizzy. DJ. What did we just learn? My goodness.
Oh, that boy is he is passionate about sales. He's passionate about AI, but I think, one of the huge takeaways for me, Donald, is that of all the professions that are out there,
Mm.
sales is probably one of the safest when it comes to having jobs taken by AI. And I just think that like we have to be transparent with our students about, especially in business schools, about, hey, this is kind of what it looks like the job trend is. This is kind of the jobs that AI are taking over. And for us who are teaching sales, this is great for us because we're going to have even more students now flocking towards wanting sales degrees and sales certifications because AI can't make relationships. That's what
Mm.
Barry keeps saying. AI cannot develop relationships.
And I think that's the critical part. There are some, and we talked about it, like, where some parts of that process we can augment. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how much research you do. I don't care how much, like, emails you could send out. I don't care how much you can automate a process. If I'm spending $100,000, if I'm spending $50,000, I mean, heck, $20,000, I want to make sure that I'm not going to mess things up. And that's where that human side comes in. And I think there is something there to it. I don't need the human to do all of the nuances, like, try to bant me and all that detail, but I need the human to be able to build a relationship, understand my problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes back to what you guys have at BYU, like being a problem solver. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing that I love that Barry pointed out was you have to have AI in your class
Yeah.
or you're going to lose credibility with the students. So helping them see how AI can be utilized in sales. But then Barry told us about that really cool kind of role play kind of case that they do where, he lets students research without AI, with AI, and then only AI. And like those are the type of things we do where students learn from like a hands-on first person experience that AI is useful, but it's not going to supplement 100% of what I'm doing because to sell is human. Right? And so I think that was really cool. I mean, I'm totally going to do that in my class. So I hope if the listeners, if you try it, let us know how it goes.
And speaking about trying stuff, BJ and I actually created a courseware, and we have a link down in the show notes. If you want to check it out and to see if you're getting like, beat up with the current one that you have, you want to try something new, you want to not have to create all of the assignments, we kind of did it all for you. And we have a little simulation that ties back to it. And we have a Substack as well where we're putting tons of information. So if you want to get like lesson plan, BJ is like a genius when it comes to creative activities and some of those lesson plans. You can find all that in our Substack.
Yeah, I would just echo that. Like if you're looking for a new curriculum and you don't want a traditional kind of textbook classroom layout, like me and Donald wrote our courseware basically as a training program. I mean, it's the same things we do when we go out and we train organizations. We're just giving to the students for, a fraction of the cost of what we charge companies.
Yeah. Well, listen, you guys check it out. Let us know what you think. And if you have ideas for the next guest or topic, we're open to that. But we got a lot of fun and we got a lot of work to go do right now. But until next time.
Good luck selling.